everyone, I'm Diana Dorsey, owner of Simply Elegant by Diana. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I am so excited today because we're gonna get to go inside the mind of wedding planners. And to help me with that, I have...
Hi everybody, it's Lauren from Cindy Camille Events. I'm so excited that Diana asked me to do this with her. We have lots of fun wedding planning stories, as we've been talking about before we even started filming.
Yes. Because
they're endless in the wedding planner life.
I think it's super important to see what it's like behind the scenes. As wedding planners, we are always creating these perfect and beautiful events, but no one ever really gets to see what we go through behind the scenes. And I think it's really important for us to show our couples and other people just what we do and what we go through to make it happen.
We go through a lot.
We do. And so today we're going to talk about all the crazy stories, whether it's funny, scary, or whatever.
Not so funny in the moment at the wedding day.
Yes, not so funny in the moment.
But after the fact, funny.
Totally agree.
So, like I said, I'm Lauren from Cindy Camille Events. I have been planning weddings. Well, I've been planning weddings with my company for about 4 years, but I did it on the side for a couple years before that, and just for friends and family and just for fun. And I had another job. I actually went to school to be a social worker. I have my master's degree in that, which is very helpful.
Yeah.
Wedding planning and dealing with in-laws and vendors and bridesmaids and people. And then after I had my daughter 4 years ago, I said, I don't want to go back to a 9-to-5. I want to have flexibility, make my own hours, work as much as I want, work as little as I want. So I started Cindy Camille Events on a whim one day. I was just like, I'm gonna start this. And 4 years later, I'm booked out every season. And thank you brides who always refer me, and vendors that always refer me, and Andrew Verducci, who we're in his warehouse right now. Yes, he always refers me, and so we're very thankful for those people that spread the word. But yeah, so that's kind of how it started. Now I do it full time, and I definitely have had my fair share of interesting weddings.
Tell me about it. Tell me.
Well, I mean, I always tell brides, like, your wedding will not be perfect. Something will happen. We hope it's minor.
Yeah.
And nobody knows about it, but sometimes there's unavoidable things that happen that are out of control, like weather, a vendor that maybe
didn't show up,
which if you use somebody from our list, that won't happen. But if it's somebody outside of our list, maybe, or a family member that gets too drunk or something happens.
Yeah, so when they're supposed to be vendors and they get drunk.
Or it's a family member DJ or a family member
florist.
I highly suggest not doing that for a multitude of reasons, but when things go wrong, it's usually because of something like that. Well, let's see, what has gone wrong at some of my weddings?
What's been like the most recent thing, like fresh off the top?
The most recent thing, this past weekend, I had a wedding in San Francisco where it was very windy that day, as San Francisco can be from time to time, and the bride, as she's walking down the aisle, her veil just, and it was like this, I don't know how many foot veil it was, probably like
it looked like at least a 8 to 10
foot veil. Yeah. She's walking, she's with her dad, all of a sudden her veil flies off. One of my assistants grabs it. The bride just kind of looks around, she laughs, and she's like, whatever, what are you gonna do? Keeps walking to her man, get married, no veil on, no problem. And that's the kind of thing that I always say to people, like, if something happens on your wedding day, don't let it ruin your wedding.
Yeah.
Her veil could have flown off and she could have, like, lost it and said, I need my veil back on, or this has ruined my wedding day. No, you don't want to do that.
Right.
Nobody cares, everybody laughs it off, and it's not a big deal. It's like, in the moment, that's not gonna matter 10 years from now that your veil fell off. It's gonna be a fun memory. So I always tell brides, like, expect something to happen. Don't freak out if something happens, and just keep rolling on with your day. Like, nothing dramatic. If you have a wedding planner, nothing dramatic is gonna happen that can't be fixed. So let it roll off your shoulder, right?
Very much agree.
Right? So that was this past week, and the bride is laughing about it now. We have an amazing picture of it. We have video. I caught it on video, and she loves it. She's like, it's a great memory. So don't let that kind of stuff affect you.
What about about like something that you were just like, because I know I have that feeling where sometimes I'm at a wedding and I'm just like, I can't do this. I just want to quit. I want to go home. I cannot do this. But then you're like, no, I could do this. I will make it happen. And then you're just like so proud because it almost felt impossible.
Right.
And then you made it possible.
I know. There's sometimes on wedding days that I get there and literally I park and step out of my car and 5,000 people come up to me like, where do I put this? Where do I plug this in? Do you know where the extension cord is for this? And I'm like, first of all, look at your floor plans, look at your timeline that I sent you, because I'm sure the answer is probably in there. But it also makes me wonder, like, what do people do when there's not a planner there? Like, who answers all of these questions? Like, I literally, with this wedding I had this past Saturday, I counted 50 people called me before the wedding started.
Wow.
Vendors, family members, which is fine, that's why I'm there, but I'm just saying, who answers it? So it can kind of get a little bit overwhelming to do your job. Make sure setup's going great, coordinate with vendors, make sure all the wine you're supposed to have is there. And then it be also answering your phone and answering questions that come up. It can definitely get overwhelming, and sometimes I'm like, okay, I need a break, but can't really take a break on a wedding day until everything's off and running. The thing that keeps me motivated mostly is like at the end of the night when the bride and groom and the parents or whoever come up to you and they're like, thank you so much. This was amazing. You made my wedding perfect. You made it a dream. I can't thank you enough. That alone makes it all worth it. Like, seriously.
You forget about how tired your legs are.
You forget about how sore you are. You forget that you did like 22,000 steps that day. You forget that you feel disgusting and you're hungry. But like, literally, that's the whole goal, is to make the client happy, make the bride and groom happy.
Yeah.
Like, I can't tell you, if you're planning a wedding, like, thank your vendors, thank the people that put it together for you, because it's a lot of hard work. Like,
it's a lot of behind the scenes.
So much behind the scenes. Like, I'll have brides after a wedding call me and say, okay, now that the wedding's over, tell me everything that went wrong that I didn't know about.
Yes.
And stuff always happens. Stuff always happens. Like this wedding last weekend, an alcohol company didn't deliver 24 bottles of our red wine, and that's crucial during cocktail hour and dinner, and they picked it out and they paid for it. So it's like, call the alcohol company and say, bring our alcohol, because this is what they paid for, and this is a wedding, and there's no room for mess up. There's no room for error, and that's just kind of part of the behind the scenes that goes into everything, and stuff that you tell people after the fact, not the day of.
Yeah. I actually just got an email from a couple that I had a couple weeks ago. And I was just waiting for them to get back from their honeymoon, and I was gonna follow up, but they beat me to it, right? And so one of the things that I have to tell them that happened behind the scenes was that we couldn't set up their dessert table. Well, we did. We set up their dessert table, but then it got so many ants. Like, so many ants.
It was outside, outdoors.
Yeah, it was outside. And so that's like the only thing I have to tell them that didn't happen.
Yeah, they're gonna say, why? Where's my dessert table?
Where's my dessert table? And it's like, well, we had to save your desserts and put them away. But those are like the little things that you're like.
And it's one of those things that I tell people, like, you're hiring us because you trust us.
Yeah.
Like, trust our decision that day. If there was a plan and it didn't happen, there's a reason why it didn't happen. Like, we didn't just forget. Trust us. We did not forget what the actual plan was. If we made a switch, or if we changed the way something was set up, or, you know, this weekend we had a Mr. and Mrs. sign that was supposed to go on the sweetheart table. We put it on the sweetheart table, it looked terrible. It was way too big, the table was round, it didn't look good. So we moved it to the welcome table, and it's like the bride noticed and she said, oh, I'm so glad you did that. I totally trust that you made the right choice and it didn't look good. So it's like, if you're gonna hire professionals, trust what they're doing and know that anything that gets switched or changed or timeline edited or whatever, it's because it's in your best interest, and that's what we think will work best for the day, because we do this every weekend pretty much, and we know what we need to do. So that's, I always tell people that, trust us, and relax and enjoy your day, and don't worry about what we're doing. So but there's always a reason. Ants you do not want on your dessert.
No.
Did you get to use the dessert at all, or no?
Oh yeah. We moved it right away, but I mean, it was just infested by ants. It was really like,
see? And that's why you have a planner to take over and say, we gotta move the dessert. So
we moved it to another table. It solved the problem, but again, it wasn't like the vision that they had in mind. But we have a great explanation as to why it happened that way.
Yeah. I'm trying to think, what other stories do I have? Oh, well, I have a good story about family members getting involved. This particular wedding, the bride and groom had a lot of trials and tribulations and just like really awful things that happened just personally before the wedding happened.
Oh boy.
And about, I want to say it was like the week before the wedding, the bride just called me and she said, you know, I don't want to do the wedding. Like, it just feels like so, you know, such like a hoopla before, like when we have all this other things going on. And I said, look, it's your call. This is your wedding. This is your day. If you want me to call the vendors and cancel everything. Like, they were still going to get married. Yeah. They just wanted to elope and like not have a big thing. Well, the mom of the bride said, absolutely not. You're getting married. Like, you're doing it this way, and this is how we're doing it. This was like 3 or 4 years ago. This was a long time ago. But I still remember because the bride was like, I don't want to have this big wedding. I want to go elope. I want to marry him. But like, this seems so stupid in comparison to like all the other things I'm going through in my life. Like, you could see in the bride's face on the wedding that she just didn't want to be there. She was so unhappy. She was happy to be marrying him, but she didn't want all these people around her. So it's like, at that point, you kind of have to say, who are we doing this for? Like, the whole point of getting married is for the couple. It's not for the guests. It's not for the family. It's not for the friends. Like, of course they're there to enjoy it, but like, when it comes down to it, it's the family. And so I just remember that's when I changed something in my contract that says, regardless of who's paying for the wedding, the bride and the groom are the final decision makers here. Because it doesn't matter if you're spending $200,000 on this wedding. If the bride and groom, it's not what they want, then that is not the point of what we're doing. So I'll always remember that as kind of like a turning point where I said, no, that's not okay. Like, that's, it just put a damper on the whole day because all the vendors knew what was happening, and you know, it's just
I've had those moments,
you know, too. It's rough. So I know moms mean well and I know families mean well, but you kind of have to take a step back and say, is this really for the purpose of the bride and groom, or is it really for something else? So
yeah,
that made for an interesting wedding day. I just put that out there.
I just had a mom like that too. It was crazy. She had a really bad relationship with her daughter, and the whole wedding day the mom was miserable. Yeah, she complained about everything, and my job was just to be like, it's okay, right, it's okay, this is what they wanted. She was so upset that we had to break down a table so people could dance.
I was gonna say, was it for dancing? Yeah, break down those tables to make room for everybody to dance.
And to my luck, it was her table, the mom's table.
Yeah,
she had a cow. A month later, she still called me and she's like, why
did you break down this table?
And I'm like, because that's what your daughter wanted.
Right, but exactly. It doesn't matter who's paying for it. Bride and groom, bride and bride, groom and groom. The clients are the ones getting married, and they're the ones that it's the most important that they are happy and get the kind of wedding that they want.
Do you find that we always get blamed for everything?
Everything. That's exactly why, like I said earlier, it's really important to hire vendors that's what their job is. Like, it's not something that they do for fun. It's something that they do for a living. Like, they're insured. They know what a timeline is. They know what time speeches should happen. They know all those sorts of things, because when it's not something like that, your wedding planner will get blamed for it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Whatever it is, your wedding planner is kind of the fall all, which is unfortunate for us, but it's just how it is, of any issue that happens that day. So we get blamed for a lot.
Yeah, we wear a lot of hats.
We wear a lot of hats, and you have to, you know, kind of pick up the slack anytime someone else
talk about it. So when I first started my wedding planning business, which was like 8 years ago, one of my first weddings that I did was with, I honestly don't even know who the catering company was, but during dinner, the catering company showed up with one tray of each thing.
And that's it?
And that's it.
No refills?
No refills.
Oh God.
No refills, and guests were coming up to me like, the chicken is raw. The chicken is raw. And I was like, oh my God, like, thank God we have like experience in catering. So you know what we did? We dropped our clipboards and we went into the kitchen and started cooking. We were cooking macaroni and cheese. We were making salads. We were making sure the chicken, the buffet was like on hold.
Oh my God.
Because they only had one
Was
tray.
this a real caterer, or was this like a friend caterer?
No, it was a real catering.
Oh God.
But I have a feeling they were like brand new
and
or
like didn't
something.
know what they were doing.
Yeah, because normally they would show up with everything at least prepared.
Yeah.
Or
just need to be warmed up. Yeah, cooked halfway. Yeah. Oh god.
No, we were.
See, and that's the thing is like, technically that's not in a wedding planner's job description to go cook stuff, but you know you have a good wedding planner when they're willing to drop what they're doing and jump in the kitchen and cook, because that's for the good of the wedding. And I'm the same way. Like if I need to go, you know, refill the toilet paper in the bathroom, I'll go refill the toilet paper in the bathroom, because it's just the whole part of the day that really you want to make sure there's no breaks, there's no negative things, like everything's going smoothly. And you know, of course I've talked to planners that'll say there's no way I would ever do that, but for me, if I've been planning this wedding for a year and this couple is dear to me and the family is so important to me and you're so devoted to having a great day, you will do whatever you need to do to make sure that that happens.
Amen.
Yes. And if you're a planner that doesn't do that, I don't know how you do that.
Yeah, like how do you save the day?
If I have see an issue and there's a way for me to save it, I will save it. Like I will make sure.
That's exactly what
like I was telling you before, we ran out of alcohol at a wedding, which was mind-blowing to me because we had ordered so much, but my assistant was like, no problem, I am driving to the closest store, which was like 35 or 40 minutes away because we were like in a place called San Gregorio, which is by Half Moon Bay. It's like past Half Moon Bay. It's like far.
Oh my god.
And it was 9 o'clock and they had no alcohol and we're like, okay, that's not good. Like there's gonna be here till midnight, we need more. So she's like, no problem, I'm driving, going to Safeway, $400 worth of tequila later, she's back, saved the day. Like that's just what you have to do. Of course we're not bartenders, we're not alcohol suppliers, but like who else is gonna do that, you know? So that's what we do. Yeah.
So it sounds like, you know, at the end of the day, we as wedding planners, we, even though like it's not in our job description to be caterers or alcohol delivery people
or plumbers
therapists
or
all of that, it's like we're gonna do it because that's what we have to do to save the day, which I don't like. I'm the type that I don't like to be like, that's not my job, that's not my job, I don't do that, I don't do that, even though sometimes I'm like,
that's
why do I have to do
that?
But we do it anyway,
exactly, because it's just, you're dedicated to that day, you're dedicated to the people, and that's just what you do. I mean, of course there's limits to everybody, but I just feel like if it's something we can help, I always like to help. So and if you're working with the people for a year now,
you build that
relationship and you're the person they're going to and saying, oh my god, we left the marriage license at the hotel,
let me run and get it.
Let me run. Okay, no problem, let me have your room key and we'll go get it. Like that's just that happened a couple months ago. So now I text every bride like the morning of the wedding or like the rehearsal, please put someone in charge of your marriage license, because we definitely need that on the day.
Absolutely. Oh my god, I've had that happen.
Yeah,
the rings.
Like you really just need your officiant, the rings, and the marriage license. Everything else, it doesn't matter as much.
Absolutely.
I say it doesn't matter, but I did have a caterer that was an hour and a half late one time. That was bad. It was really bad. Bride and groom never found out about it, but 1 minute before we were about to tell them, and I was about to send all my assistants out to go get In-N-Out, a taco truck, I don't even know. It was a 10-course Chinese banquet catering. So they had to cook everything on site. Okay, so an hour and a half is a huge amount of time to be late.
Yes.
So I said, okay, you know what? I'm gonna tell them at 3:30. That's the latest I'm gonna tell them. 3:29.
They show up.
They show up.
Oh.
This was amazing. I'm so glad we did this.
Me too. I hope we can continue to do more. We're even thinking about doing a podcast.
Yeah, we're gonna do a podcast because there's so much wedding planning info that we have up here.
Well, I think, you know, if we focus on educating our couples, they would totally
understand the process, understand what we do. I know, I was kind of thinking about doing like a PDF that has like a Q&A in it of like, this is what an escort card is, this is what this is. Just like, because if you haven't planned a wedding before, like how are you really gonna know what all those things are, right?
Right.
You're not really gonna know.
Yeah.
It's something that we say so easily, but for someone who doesn't really, you know that industry, how are you gonna know? So
exactly.
I was thinking about doing something like that, but if we do more of these type of communications with you all, then I think that'll be helpful.
I think that would be super fun. I think doing more videos of like tips and things we go through behind the scenes would be super valuable.
We've got tips and tricks and ways to save money, where you should spend your money and where you don't need to spend your money, and all sorts of things.
Absolutely. So if you have any questions or anything you're curious about, definitely reach out.
Follow us.
At
Sydney Camille Events.
And I'm at Book Simply Elegant on Instagram.
Yes, follow us on Instagram. We post behind the scenes stuff on there. I do Q&As like as often as I can, and sometimes I did a live Q&A one time. That was fun.
Oh my god, we should do that.
We should do that.
And record it.
But yeah, we'll answer questions on there. Yeah, so stay tuned, guys.
Yeah, hopefully you liked our crazy stories today.
We have more.
We'll give you more. And if you have any questions or anything you're curious about, definitely shoot us an email or hit us up on Instagram and we will answer them.
Yep.
Stay tuned.
Bye, guys.
Bye. And now we are back with
Carla
from Verducci. We're actually in Verducci's warehouse. Thank you, Verducci, for allowing us to be here. And Carla is gonna also share some of the crazy things that she's been through behind the scenes.
A lot of the things that happen around here are last minute events or last minute requests, and we have a lot of brides, grooms, just events where we get a call and it's 5:30 and we're out the door and it's like, oh, this bride wants to add, you know, 5 more station accents, and it's like,
oh my
okay,
god,
sure. A lot of things go unplanned and stuff like that, and things, we understand things happen last minute.
Yeah. I
feel like Verducci is really good about it, but yeah, for sure, it is a pain in the butt, but at the end of the day, it's about the client.
What's been like the most recent craziest thing that you were like, whoa, how are we gonna make this happen, and then like you make it happen?
Oh my god, I can't think of anything recent, but I know last year when I started as a warehouse manager, it was crazy because I was new at this, you know, I had never managed a warehouse before. And we were rolling out this large event, and it was the end of the day. It was actually later than 5:30. It was already like 8 p.m. My staff had been here since 8 in the morning, so everybody was ready to go home. And we got a call and it was like, hey, we need like 20 station accents. And I was like, oh, great. The batteries
was that one of your weddings?
Probably. the batteries are not charged for them. So it was really fun. I guess you could say.
After, when you think of after the thought, it's fun.
That's like, okay, but it was a lot to do in a little bit of time, and you know, we had to make all that work, and I don't remember that, but I think I had to come back that night later after I went home, you know, and until the batteries charged and everything, and then loaded them on the truck, because that's what we do.
That is what
Can't say no to Andrew.
And our clients too. It's like, and you know, I find that a lot of times they don't know how much work we really have to put in and how many hours we're working, even like on the day of, and just everything behind the scenes to make it happen. It's so crazy.
Yeah, so much goes into it.
Yeah, but I feel like if you're in the industry, you love the aftermath, right? Like it's like to see them happy, it's kind of like everything else goes away. Yeah,
and so unfortunately I don't really get to see them happy, you know, because I don't really get to face with the clients. But I do get to see, you know, our pictures, our photos, and like the staff that was there, and they're like, yeah, everything went great, and that's the feedback that I get. And when I get that, I'm like, okay, it was worth it.
Right.
So yeah, it's really nice. It's really nice to have that. It's really fulfilling in a way, because you're like, okay, all my hard work didn't go unnoticed. You know?
Right.
So yeah, it's really cool.
Oh, wonderful.
For sure. Well, thank you.
Great. Thank you so much.